name is Jackson Crowley, and this is my speech about Donald Trump. Donald John Trump had 4 other siblings of Fred and Mary Trump. He was born on June 14, 1946, in New York City's Queensboro. The Trump family lived in Jamaica of an upscale community reflecting the success of Fred's companies. Trump developed properties for middle-class families in Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. Fred Jr., Donald, and Robert, the 3 Trump sons, worked summers and some weekends on construction sites or in offices when they were old enough. Their daughters, Elizabeth and Mary Ann, were not brought into business because Elizabeth would say it's a man's family. In 1973, the Justice Department alleged that the Trump company discriminated against African Americans seeking to rent more apartments to blacks. They brought more property in Virginia, Ohio, Nevada, and California. Trump was successful in many ways with improving the United States. Trump gave up his wealth to become a leader of our country. He made the lowest unemployment rate we have had in many years. Trump has also created tons of jobs and helped our economy in many ways. Donald John Trump is one of the most successful businessmen I know, and he was one of the best presidents of the United States of America, in my opinion. It'd be interesting to know how he got to where he is now. Trump's first big move into Manhattan at age 30 was to develop the Grand Hyatt Hotel in the Kirkus of a bankrupt Penn Central Railroad's hotel abutting Grand Central Terminal. It was a complete transaction enabled by Trump's partnership with the Hyatt hotel chain, his father's potential pull, and a 40-year city tax abatement worth hundreds of millions of dollars in time, the first ever such tax break for a commercial property in New York. The project set pattern for Mr. Trump's New York career. He used his father's and later on his own extensive political connections and relied on a huge amount of assistance from the government and taxpayers, the New York Times wrote in 2016. Trump followed by buildings Trump Plaza, an apartment development, and Trump Tower on 5th Avenue, which became home of luxury stores, as well as Trump's multi-floor gold gift residence and company headquarters. In the 1980s, he got involved in casinos in Atlantic City, including Trump's Plaza and Trump's Castle. In 1990, he opened his so-called Eighth Wonder World, the Trump Taj Mahal. At one point, Trump's casinos employed more than 8,000 people and 1/3 of the city's gambling revenues. By his election, Trump's organization had interest through ownership, management, and brand licenses with at least a dozen golf resorts in the United States and 5 internationally, 8 hotel properties in the United States, and 6 foreign countries, and dozens of real estate housings within the United States. Abroad, the projects were in works planned. His holdings continued to be highly averaged before the election in August 2016. The New York Times reported that Trump's real estate networks in the United States, not counting interest, in about 20 other countries had at least $650 million in debt. "I am the king of debt," he said during the campaign. "I love debt," Trump boasted about his debt because he reduced as an eliminated income tax liability, which acknowledged as a coordinates how much debt reduced or eliminated his income tax liability is unknown because Trump was the first president since Richard Nixon to refuse to release his tax returns. Avoiding taxes make me smart, he said at a presidential debates. After the election, the breadth and global reach of the Trump's assets, along with his company's indebtedness to others, globally provoked widespread concerns about potential conflicts of the interest between the businesses and the presidential actions and possible violation of the Constitution involvement clause against receiving payments from foreign nations. Trump rebuffed calls to divest his business before his inauguration. He announced that sons Donald Jr. and Eric would run the businesses and forswear new deals in foreign countries and that would run the business while keeping his stakes. Critics worried that his arrangement was insufficient for avoiding conflicts of interest as president.